my insane doctor's appointment. And we have liftoff. If you've ever been so embarrassed you literally could die, you gotta hear this. So here I am, straight out of high school. It was a couple years since my last physical, and I was due. So I scheduled a doctor's appointment for a regular physical. You have no idea how this is going to end. I get to my appointment, and I'm ready for whatever. Open my mouth and say, ah. Take big, deep breaths in and out, and yes, drop my pants, turn and cough. Then he says, we should take a urine sample, and I'm like, easy peasy. So I get a cup from the nurse, head to the bathroom, and splash all over to get a sample. You think it's easy, but it's not like a faucet. Once you start, you can't stop. I cleaned up, walked out, and gave the cup of my pee to the nurse, and head home full of pride, thinking I surely passed with flying colors. Nope. The nurse calls later that afternoon, and I'm thinking, I only slept with a couple girls, what could it be? She begins to tell me that my test came back abnormal and that I should see a specialist. What specialist? I ask. She says we found an abnormal amount of white blood cells in your urine, and we'd like you to see a urologist. Great, here we go. I schedule a urologist appointment a week later, and I'm thinking the worst. Could it be an STD, or worse yet, some type of disease? Maybe I have a defective ding-dong? I have no clue. I nervously walk in, sit down and wait my turn, gripping the chair with both hands like I'm about to take off on a rocket ship. There are other guys in the waiting room all waiting their turns, but it's obvious that I'm the youngest of this space shuttle crew. Finally, my name gets called and I sit down in the exam room. About 20 minutes later, the doctor comes in and explains what the nurse told me over the phone. Here I am thinking, it'll just be another urine sample, right? He then says, I'd like to start with a bladder scope. Great, they're going to cut me open and look at my bladder. This obviously won't happen today, and this will need to be scheduled out. Nope. He says, no, we won't cut you open. We'll take a thin tube with a light and camera at the end and insert it into your urethra. I am visibly shaking at this point. What's my urethra? Is that a medical term for belly button? I ask. No, it's where you urinate from, he says. I immediately turn white and start sweating. I begin to tell him, I don't think this is necessary. I've only slept with 2 girls and there must be some type of mistake. Can we schedule this for another time? No, we have it scheduled for today and trust me, it won't hurt or take long, he says. I get taken back into another room where they lay me down to prepare me for the procedure. I'm literally shaking at this point, thinking I just want to go home and crawl under the covers. Then about 4 other nurses walk into the room. Apparently, they are students who are observing the procedure for educational purposes. WTF, I'm thinking. This older female nurse, probably in her 60s, then comes up to me and says, I need to prepare the area for the procedure. She then proceeds to clean my junk with this orange-reddish liquid called iodopovidone. Oh no, it's been some time since my last encounter with my ex, but this is not good. She's cleaning the area like it's her last supper, and here I am getting a rock-hard bonsai tree. I grasp the table, and before I can start to think of my grandmother, the inevitable happens. I had no control. It was so fast. I had no time to think. It, and I mean it, comes out. The nurse takes a step back and immediately places a towel over and says, it's not the first time. The procedure was quick, and I got dressed and walked out of the office with my tail between my legs. I get home and shower like I've just been violated. Thankfully, everything was just fine, except for my pride. I haven't had a physical since. Horror movie to comedy. During a work trip in Missouri, I landed so late that I almost missed picking up my rental car to drive to my hotel. My boss put my hotel about 2 hours away, since it was the closest to where I needed to go in the morning, and I wouldn't have arrived to my hotel until around 3 a.m. or so. I've never been to Missouri, but the part of the ride where I had to through was a 60-plus mile-long road before the next intersection. I've never experienced driving on a road like this. Just 2 lanes, no guardrails, only a ditch that led to fields and fields of corn, wheat, and other crops, no street lamps, an itty-bitty town that I could drive through in less than 5 minutes. And these towns were 10 to 15 minutes of driving apart. Again, I've never driven in a road, town area such as this, so I had my high beams on. Drove cautiously and slower than what the speed limit might be, since one other car was zooming on the other side. and kept an eye out for any animals that might pop out. I've also, for the first time, encountered bugs just being splattered on my windshield, which was honestly something I just always thought only happened in cartoon movies as exaggeration. Anyway, as I'm driving, I see man in the field just several yards from where the road was. I only saw him because of my high beams. It was 2 to 3 a.m. and so dark. I didn't see a car or bicycle around, and I just passed a town maybe 5 minutes ago, so that was far for someone with no vehicle. I don't know if it's a hero complex or naivety, but when I see people in distress or might need help, I usually try to stop and help. In this case, just seemed like this man was either lost, confused, drunk, suicidal, I don't know. My mind was just going crazy thinking this man is not in a good place if he's out here in the middle of nowhere just chilling. Even though the road was tight, I backed up the car, put on my hazards, and turned it slightly towards the field so I could take a better look. I was in the car and was hesitant to get out, especially because I watch a lot of horror movies and this is how some of them start. But I'd get out the car and loudly say, "Hello! Excuse me, do you need any help, sir?" The guy's just standing and swaying a little bit, but just staring into the field Nashorn sky. "Are you okay?" I say again. Nothing. I debated what to do next. Call the police? Honk my horn? Drive to the nearest town? But would I even know where to come back? So I took the horror movie action of just going to see the man myself. I went down the ditch and slowly got close, only to realize, as most readers probably guessed by now, that it was a scarecrow. I know this could have gone so bad if it were any other situation, but I couldn't help but to laugh so hard that I cried. I was genuinely trying to be helpful and got worried, and turns out I made a 10-minute stop to make sure a scarecrow was okay. But at last it kept me wide awake until I got to my hotel.
And that's the end of these World Reddit stories. Which one was your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more crazy stories, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Trust me, there are even more insane stories coming your way, so stay tuned.